Testing, testing. I ain't tripping. Rewind. All right, we good. Start that over. One, two, three, four, and we're good. What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Unconquered World podcast, where the premise is positivity, the sum is peace. Hope that means to you. Um, as you can see by what I've been posting, today we're talking about return on investment. Um, it's a subject I think is very important, not just for money purposes, as some of you may be thinking, but just in terms of life. So let me start by differentiating my perception of the concepts giving without expectation and investing. So what my concepts of giving and investing are. Because in the very first podcast, I challenged a lot of people to give without expecting expectation, and there could seem to be a contradictory notion that could arise between that and the concept of what I'm about to discuss today regarding return on investment. So giving without expectation is an investment, but it's one that you're making with reap the or the returns that is preventing yourself from the disappointments as well as other situations that we create in our heads a lot of time, just by being out of touch with the fact that we're expecting something back from what we're given. So we oftentimes create in our head these situations that are outside of the reality, and that often comes from lack of communication in most situations, both with yourself and other individuals. We're human; we all do it. But I wanted to bring awareness to the concept of giving without expectation and being genuine in what you offer people for your sake and your sanity, and also the possible good karma that it can grant you, or the favor that it can grant you, because we all have had certain situations where we give in hopes that someone will return the favor in some way, um, that we may benefit from, even if it's just a little bit of hope. And that's not unnatural around the right people. Return that giving energy, and you do benefit from it, but you just have to be careful not to slip back into that expecting nature that we all have when it pertains to giving to someone genuinely for your sake, so you don't create them situations and that disappointment that didn't need to be created. And realizing that no one owes you the courtesy or the favors that they do for you, um you know is a way to kind of shut that door on expecting things from people, but rather just accepting them. Because unless it has been openly discussed or is like contractually obligated in whatever situation, no one's obligated to give you anything. Now, that brings me to investing. And there are only really three things that you can invest, you know, towards any person, place, or thing, and that is time, money, and energy. This is my opinion. This is true because you spend energy to make money to buy back the time that you spent making money and replenish your energy. If that a vacation days, just so you can go take a vacation and replenish the energy that you got. So you spent money to go on vacation and replenish the energy that you spent, and try to get back some of the perceptually to get time back so you can re-energize and feel refreshed or whatever. So that's what I mean when I say you use time and energy to make money to buy back your time and replenish your energy. But everything in life is an investment. And whenever you're dealing with any investment, you have to know the risk associated with that. And since I'm obviously a deep thinker, I'll give you some of the pros and cons from my point of view as far as understanding the return on investment in everything you do in terms of giving your time, energy, and money. Pros to this way of thinking, and this is you figure out what you value overall at any given point in time and how that changes over time, because life is fluid. It takes the shape of what we build around it. If we build a house and fill it with water, it's going to take the shape of that house. If you build a small apartment and fill it with water, it's going to take the shape of that small apartment. Regardless, you still got to build the house you got to build the life you want. Everything is an investment in that sense. Um, the second thing is it allows you to really evaluate the things that can make a difference in your life. For example, whether to move to a new place, start a new relationship, get a dog, buy a house, all the things that can change the way you have to invest the three things that you invest time, money, and energy. So it gives you priorities based on, what you value in that moment and what you're willing to give and invest. The third positive thing is once you've got a certain way of breaking down, figuring out what you want to invest in. Um, Once you got a certain way of breaking down and figuring out what you really want to invest in, you waste less time on things that don't bring, the returns that you want, that don't bring you the value that you want. The fourth thing that I think is really good about this way of thinking is you become familiar with conditions around you that help you achieve what you really want, and you know how to use them to your advantage. So basically, you understand who and where you are in life and how to use who and where you are in life to your advantage to get what you want out of it, to get to, a certain milestone, so to speak, invest energy into to achieve. Um, Another thing it does, it helps you not be as emotional when making important decisions, and it promotes discipline across all phases of life, mentally, spiritually, and physically. Whether that's, mentally being disciplined enough to go get some work done or study or do whatever you have to do for a certain task. Spiritual wise, if it's getting up and reading your Bible or something like that, and physically could be as something like, all right, I'm eating right because I know my body needs this food in order for me to, survive in a healthy manner. So it promotes that type of discipline, and it takes some of the emotion out of making important decisions, because a lot of times when you just rely off emotion and you don't have principle behind whatever it is you're doing, that can both situation to come to fruition. Okay, so the cons to this way of thinking, because just like anything, there are pros and cons. The first con to this way of thinking, as far as return on investment, is it's scary because all investments have risk. And that risk can mean you will go through something, and it might not be an easy pill to swallow at the end of the day. Whatever you risk, and you you know you come to realize that risk and not the benefit that you were hoping for. So it can be scary. But if you know what you value, there will be little regret because you know what you're after. And I feel like, as I've mentioned before, mentors help lessen these situations, but not get rid of them. You're going to take a good amount of L's whenever you're doing anything as far as an investment, and you have to understand that that comes with it. Con thinking is it can be hard to pull the trigger sometimes, especially after you've taken a few to the chin. You've got to have heart for it. You've got to have heart for this shit, and understand that that's how the game of life goes, and you play to win through the lessons you learn. Morals and principles will keep you afloat, and always be willing to learn and treat people fairly and work hard. The third con to this way of thinking is you lose people or grow apart, and it's something that's inevitable when your values shift. Everyone isn't on the same wave, and it doesn't mean you don't still have support from them or never talk to them again. That's usually in like an extreme case, but you do end up in a different space mentally, and sometimes physically, and that makes it hard for you to be in the previous positions of something you're investing in. You have to sacrifice late nights going out with people sometimes. I mean, I know that because I'm an athlete, but somebody who's studying to be a doctor would understand the same thing, and we don't do the same things. We're studying, trying to be different, go down different career paths, but we still have a similar situation when it comes to this concept. Um, the fourth, and what I think is the hardest part, sometimes is that that's a con. The fourth thing is that sometimes you don't trust yourself, and Let everyone who ever made it from the bottom tell you they always believed, and that's cool, but that's not trust, in my opinion. I believe that, you and I, you watching this and me, I can do anything. We both have two legs, arms, hands, bills is based on the work I put to understand what I value and how to obtain it. The work I put in to understand how to get to what I want. That's where the trust comes from. And when you fail, sometimes you question your trust in yourself in terms of how you're going about it, if you're going about it the correct way. But hold on to what you value in those moments and always be willing to learn. And like I said once before, the mind will take you where you want to go if you exercise it enough. So just because something didn't go right, um, and sometimes it's hard to wonder if you're going about it the right way, doesn't mean you don't want it or you don't believe you can get it, because you wouldn't be doing what you're doing if you didn't believe you could get to where you want to go. But our hobby feel like, hey, I don't know why it's not working out this way. Do I need to change something? I'm trying to stick to what, was planned and what I had planned and how I want to go about it. But there may be a totally different approach that you haven't learned yet. And you'll learn it as long as you keep an open mind and, try to take yourself through different avenues to get where you want to go. So that's my spiel on the pros and cons. So just to close out, I want to give you a guide to starting to see everything as an investment. First, understand information must be communicated and agreed to, whether it's between you and you, which is the most important in my opinion in terms of investments, is the ones you make yourself, whether it's with you and someone else, or whether it's with you and a goal or an object. There has to be a detailed understanding of what you will invest, time, money, and energy, and what you hope to get out of it, as well as the potential time frame it will take to get to that thing in return. And all three of those things must be agreed upon for you to move forward and for you to pull, out that investment or take a L. So that's those things have to be in line for you to even take steps towards, all right, I'm going to do this. Or, you know, to say, hey, I did it and I lost. Let me see what I learned. And then if you do take a L, then evaluate why you took the L and then go to the next situation more prepared. Like I said, you got to have heart for it. And that evaluation includes both self and circumstance. It's not like there are things that happen that you can control all the time. Sometimes you can't control some of the things that happen. So evaluate the circumstance and understand that sometimes what you did has happened and it's just the circumstance. And then sometimes understand that the circumstances were great and you didn't do your part. And sometimes that's just how it is. And you have to be willing to be truthful about that. Um, the second thing I want to encourage you to do is write down a list of core values that won't change. This is what you won't sacrifice to get any one thing you perceive as valuable. You stand on these principles. These are the things that, hey, yeah, I want that car, but where I'm at in life right now and what I want to do to get to it at this moment, it sacrifices some morals, it sacrifices some principles, there's some things that I'm not willing to do in order to get to that, because I know what I stand on and what I stand for. So write down those core values and stay within those and then work to get it, because as long as you stay within yourself, it'll feel so much better to get what you're trying to get once you figure out how to get it or once it comes to you. Because when you step outside yourself, you got to realize that you want are materialistic. So you don't want to look back and say, hey, I didn't sacrifice so much principle standpoint or a moral standpoint just to get a car that I can only drive around sometimes because it's so fast or so luxurious that it costs too much to keep filling it up. So think about it that way, man. There's a lot of things that you don't want to sacrifice to get to some of these things that you perceive as valuable, and then you get them, and it's like you don't even want to you don't even want them anymore. And I think the podcast just reconnected. So to repeat, what I just said. There's a lot of things that you shouldn't be willing to sacrifice to get to some of these things you perceive as valuable. Because once you get them, sometimes you look at them and you're like, man, I don't even want that anymore. So the third thing I want to say do is write down a list of returns. Or things that you want, you know, and use the first step I just mentioned to devise a way to get to that. It's kind of like when they say, if you don't feel like getting up to cook, then you must not be that hungry. Same concept for figuring out how to get what you want. Work smarter, not harder, or work hard and smart. But at the end of the day, do something to get after what you say you want. You know, I heard Gary Vee say, have the audacity to work for the things that you say you want, or be the person that you say you are. Work for it. Put in the time and the effort. You know, everything ain't gonna be fast. Some things will be fast, but regardless, make sure you put in the work for what you say you want. Um, and lastly, I want to leave you with the most valuable thing is time. You can't create more of it. You can only hope to make it seem faster or slower. By gauging what you give your attention to. That's why when time you're having fun, because attention you're paying to the actual time passing. So figure out what you value and what you're willing to invest, and have fun getting to it. And you know, time will start to fly, and those things that seem like it took forever to get won't seem like they took so long once you get it, because you will have been within yourself. You have judged what you want, how to get to it, and you'll I mean, ultimately, I hope you will be happy, and I hope you will do everything, you know, with positivity, love, and you know, get the peace that you're looking for. Even through the struggle, you know, there's calm in the middle of a hurricane when the eye comes through. So when you're in the eye of the hurricane, you get that calm. Just know that it can get worse, or it could be over. But regardless of what it is, that calm is gonna come through past another eye wall, and you're gonna be inside of it, and it's gonna be calm. So there's gonna be storms throughout life. There's gonna be things that you want to get to, and things that you want to purchase, or things that or a person that you may want to become, as far as like a skill or something, being good at a skill. But there's always an investment to be made, time, money, or energy, in my opinion. So I want to leave y'all with that. Love, appreciate y'all tuning in, and I know if it reconnected on my personal account, my personal Instagram. I don't know what it did on this iPad. I wasn't really paying attention. But regardless, all of these podcasts are on YouTube. I uploaded the most recent ones to SoundCloud. I think it should be 7 or 8 on SoundCloud. This one will go up on, so they're also on my personal Facebook and the Unconquered World page on my Facebook. So if you go to Malik Mayweather on Facebook, go to pages, you'll see the Unconquered World page. You can follow, join that, like, subscribe, share to the YouTube channel, everything, man. And it's all love from this side. Appreciate it. I don't even know how to end it on this one. Oh look. Man, should not end it. Well, I think that one's messed up. I can end this one though.